What's up, guys? 747 and welcome to Watch for the Plot. Subscribe for more content coming your way. Okay, so again, doing this in the morning. Yes, I know I have no life. So today we're reviewing a show called Transfer Student, and this one's like if Shin Angel had, well, basically this is Shin Angel, right? No other way around it. The MC Shinichi has a childhood friend-like connection with his next door neighbor named Aoi, and they never meet up because they're always at the perfect time at the wrong moment. For example, when Aoi was about to be like, hey, remember me from way back when? Yeah, I still like you. She stumbles upon him helping another girl out whose name is Fujiro, and she just walks away because she immediately thinks that he's going to have sex with her. And surprise, surprise, due to her lack of intervention, he does end up doing the thing that she fears happens every single time. Now, one aspect that is also similar to Shin Angel in comparison to this is that the childhood friend, Aoi, is a very domineering every aspect of her life except this one particular point, like her love life in particular, with Shinichi, of course. She's very timid, she's very docile, which is kind of funny to me. And when I say dominating, she usually says what she wants, she gets what she wants. She's not as crazy as Shizuka or the girl in Shin Angel, but she still is that stereotype, that build, and borderline same hair color, and looks exactly the same. So yeah, the first episode starts off with our girl here named Fujiro Mami. Now, how did she end up meeting Shinichi? How did she end up betting Shinichi, as I said before? Well, Shinichi had some vague feeling toward Aoi, but he couldn't really put it into words because he didn't remember who the fuck she was. Like, he who megaloed her right off the bat, which kind of like shattered her instantly because she remembered him like that, like the moment she looked at him. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, her drive to initiate any conversation was just immediately just dead in the water, because she just felt like if she knew more than he did, then she would seem like an obsessive stalker, which in most cases would be true. However, in this instance, since there is a real connection going to the past, she should have just barged that anyway. However, since it's high school, we really can't account for that because high schoolers tend to have like not that much awareness whatsoever. And because of her lack of basically doing anything, comes Fujiro, who basically was in the right place at the right time, who kept being a klutz and ended up not only being alone with him in a maze where she got lost at it because she's just unable to do anything correctly. She got a skirt stuck in the bus on the final trip home from the field trip they went to, and went to a hotel that same night. Like, that's just crazy. Aoi, that could have been you. That's your whole point. Now, the reason why Aoi has such a strong childhood resonance with him was because at the beginning of almost every single episode, it starts off with them moving away from each other, and the last memory she has of him before she visits him again about like 10-12 years later is him running towards the train with a machine mecha, and she's trying to grab it, but there's not enough train space for him to grab it. But he's like keeping up with the train for some reason. This man's like a fucking god. He's pacing with the train, and then right when he falls off the ledge of the train, she rips the head off, and then the hat goes with him, and he keeps the body of the robot as well. And that's how she introduces herself, was with the head of the robot. So that's funny, you know what I mean? Like, it's very adorable, very cutesy. However, given the fact that he's gonna plow through like basically the entire roster of women at the school, isn't that romantic? But the final episode kind of makes up for it. The second episode is kind of weird, but then again, this whole series is weird. So it starts off with the other character, and her name is Mika, and she has a bandage fetish because her parents were doctors essentially. Since they were so busy as like high-level doctors, they never had time to play with her. And since she was at the hospital all the time, given the fact that they were high-level doctors, because there's daycares in the hospital for the doctors specifically, she ended up playing with the patients, and the patients she remembered most playing with are men bandaged, and so that's her fetish now. That's a thing. All right, that proved to me that like most of this shit gets made up for you, either in your youth, which is very, very weird to me, by the way. And so surprise, surprise, she has some expertise in the medical field. And so when Shinichi's fighting someone as a joke or something, I don't know, it's like some like World Star type shit, right? And he gets tossed and he lands on his best friend, Satoshi, and then his hand starts bleeding. And here comes Mika, licks the wound, bandages him up, and then says, come by my hospital if you ever get injured. Haha, winky face. And then, of course, not too long after that, obviously, since, you know, Aoi and him are neighbors, they're talking about shit, right? And when they're talking about shit, basically Aoi knows that he had sex with Fujiro in the last episode. However, she doesn't want to think about it because she wants him for herself. And I was like, hey, do you remember this robot head? Ha 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 ha. And then Shinichi pulls like, who Megalo? He does it again because like he does not remember. Again, it's been like 10 or 12 years since the last time they met. And I understand, you know, she remembers because like that was basically what she built her childhood off of. But he had to forget because he got a concussion when he fell off the train. That's my assumption here, but if look at this footage again, he's literally running mass speed and he just falls off like a 7-foot ledge onto like some dirt or some shit. Like, I don't think he's... While that happens, she hits Megaload again. She cries and just throws the robot head at him. And then it triggers some like vague memory that he can't really attach anything. So he just jumps out the window and grabs it. And then with that, he falls down to his death and wakes up in a hospital perfectly fine. Why is waking up in a hospital relevant in the story whatsoever? Well, remember what I just told you about Mika, like literally 2 seconds ago? Yeah, so she's at this hospital, she visits him, and surprise, surprise, he's bandaged. So, surprise, surprise, when Aoi sees the fact that she's also visiting Shinichi, she gets discouraged. Because she's like, oh great, that's another girl he's having sex with. Oh, wonderful. And just leaves. And so Mika sees that sign as, oh, so he's not taken. And he's bandaged. Let me come back in a nurse's outfit so I can, you know, get doing what I'm doing. And she does that exactly. And after that happens, she abandons him because now she's finally awoken and realized that, oh wait, I can use this hospital as a roster for the amount of men I can have sex with. And then she just leaves him in the dust. And now Shinichi has to deal with the fact that Aoi is just mad at him. Now, if that is where it ends then and she just constantly gets cucked, I wouldn't have finished watching the series. However, this is an interesting dynamic here that does display itself, right? When Aoi got denied or denied herself from being denied from Shinichi, the Flower Club vice president, I want to say, his name is Kanazaki, looks like 30 years old, has all of the groupies in the world, who is in love with Aoi for some reason. Well, I'm not saying for some reason because she's awful, but I'm saying for some reason because like he has like a plethora of women to go through. And since Aoi is so depressed due to the fact that Shinichi's just, you know, having sex with all these girls, Kanazaki picks her up and they go out to eat. And when they're eating, she's just, you know, she's not there. She's just spacing out because, again, her love of her life isn't really accepting her. Now, of course, at this point, my boy Satoshi told Shinichi about that date, and Shinichi got in his feelings. Now, which is interesting, right? Because like you can't get in your feelings if you're going through all these women like you're going through. Like, it's not how this works. Like, you can't do that and then get mad when Aoi, the person you're not dating, goes out and does some of that as well. That's kind of weird, dude. That's a double standard right there. Come on, let's just spread it around. Like, if you want to be with her, just say it, bro. But then again, it's high school, and any self-awareness or hindsight, just it's not there. Not there at all. So when Aoi finally gets over herself and wants to, you know, confess her feelings to him, Shinichi's like, oh, I heard from Satoshi went on a date with Kanazaki. I guess you like older men then. Get the fuck away from me. And then she's back to be mad at him, which is, I don't know about you, like seeing that back and forth change is hilarious to me because it'll just never end. It'll never end at all until the final episode. And the third episode, you guys seen the pattern, right? You seen the pattern here? Like, Shinichi's stroke game is solving everyone's problems. Like, for example, Fujiro, she's no longer a klutz and is shy. She's now more confident and she's using that aloofness to her advantage to help her advance further in life. And Miko over here realized that she can take advantage of men who are bandaged and unable to do anything because, again, they need nurses, they need help and assistance. And now the next person, who is the president of Flower Club, Reiko, she wanted to bed with Shinichi because she was so alone, she had a void because her parents kept leaving her. And she always wanted to have some sense of approval from her parents because of the fact that they kept leaving her as a child. Now, I don't know what they did as a job exactly, but they just were never around for her. But when they finally did come, like at the dead of night, she was just like elated as fuck. And her one saying is like, whenever you do the flowers, it always represents your heart. And then Shinichi is like, fuck, god damn it, because Shinichi heard that Aoi went on another date with Kanazaki, so he's pissed off again for some reason. Again, like, why are you pissed off if you, whatever, if I keep saying that, I'm gonna read a broken record. And he's just making flowers alone in the club room by himself, and he finally makes them, and then Reiko comes in and says, oh, I see you're distressed. However, that free spirit is what I need. I need your free spirit inside of me. And then they go out in the club, and at that point, Reiko's like, oh shit, yo, my G, yo, thanks, bro, appreciate that. Now I see that life isn't just approval. You know what I mean? And there's more to life than just this. I can go like she. It's crazy. Like I don't understand. Like well, I do understand. It's crazy how Shinichi is just the awakening pill that all these women need. Is wild to me. And so she reunites with her parents and they bond perfectly, you know? And that's in episode 3. Now episode 4, after Aoi went on a date with Kanazaki, but it technically wasn't a date because she brought her grandma and the grandma was cock blocking him the entire time. They're starting to realize that they're not gonna ever be able to meet each other, like ever, unless of course someone says something. And then right when Aoi is trying to say something again at the beginning of the episode, the one and only thing that stops her from fully just letting it all out is none other than the main character Shinichi himself. He's like, oh, I heard you had another date with Kanazaki. I get it, you know. Maybe I should spend my Christmas alone even though we're neighbors. Jesus Christ. And like I don't paint him to be like a villain, like he's playing him as a villain, but like he's not this evil the entire story. Like in between like his, shall I say, advances, he's having like very wholesome big chungus 100 moments with her since they're neighbors. Like he's trying to look and find the other part of the robot that is like vaguely stuck in his head that he just cannot remember why it's important to find that thing. Or he's trying to find her hat, but he doesn't know why it's her hat or what is really drawing him to find that hat. You know what I mean? Like he's actually trying to piece everything together, but at the same time, her being as flagrant and aggressive about him memorizing like right now is causing him to remember slowly because he can't ponder upon it. Now, again, they're both at fault for not finding true love the first second of seeing each other. However, again, and that's my whole take on it, right? Because like, you know, but it's still a good watch. It's still like a good chase. It's still a great chase to see. And after rejecting him yet again, Aoi goes back to her rebound, Kanazaki, at the restaurant. This is her third time she rebounded this man after getting rejected again for like 20 times, and 17 were herself rejecting her own advances, and the 3 times that she actually tried to do something, it was him rejecting it. But when she was at the restaurant, she sees 2 kids that look exactly like Shinichi and her did back as their childhood, and they're talking about a sock. And then at that moment, way in Shinichi's room, he remembers a sock for Christmas that they were using together when they were kids for Christmas, for Santa, you know what I mean? All these words. And at that moment, everything clicks for him. And now he starts trying to find all the memorabilia, the nostalgic pieces that were once foundational for their childhood. Once he finds pieces, he just runs immediately to Aoi. And then Aoi's like, oh, I shouldn't be here. Let me go meet my man right quick. And then they link up, and then they remember, and oh yeah, despite us never having perfect time for one another, we did have a childhood connection that was broken due to time and unforeseen circumstances. But now we're together, and we should be together for the foreseeable future. And they become a couple, and the end. Now see how this Section Angel, like you kind of forget all the atrocities he's committed from episode 1 to 3. You kind of forget all the mistakes she's made of episode 1 and 3, and they're a couple. So fuck it. You know what I mean? This is why I love romance, man. Romance is so dumb. Romance anime and this type of shit is so dumb because it's like one of the easiest things to solve. However, due to the fact that number one, they're human, so like they gotta add in the human error aspect into what decisions they're making, and number two, they have no sense of self-awareness. So while they can look at something and be like, yo dude, come on, you're supposed to tell her you love her that moment, they don't look at themselves that way. And that's how we operate too, you know what I mean? And that's how I see all romance that way. Even though again they aren't humans, they're literal pixels on a screen, but you get my point here. They're made by humans. Come on, don't do me like that. But yeah, that was Transfer Student, and I did enjoy it. That was another wholesome show. Jesus Christ, I'm on a streak again. I remember the last time I was on a streak for wholesome shows, and I kind of want to keep this up. However, I don't really look for shows with a plan. I just see the massive amount of catalog there is to just go through browse through shows, pick through a couple of them, see that it is interesting enough to review, and then review it accordingly. That is my reviewing process. No organization whatsoever, just completely sporadic. All right guys, I don't have an outro, but if I did, it wouldn't matter because don't make fun to the video. Good night.